guys, it's Heather from Tomatoes, Poppies, Everything Gardening. I'm so happy you're here because my tomatoes have been coming in. So in this video, I'm going to sample 5 varieties of tomatoes from my garden that I grew for 2024. And also, we are going to make a tomato pie. So I am making this intro post-tasting, post-baking this beautiful pie. This guy's been chilling in the fridge. He's been baked, but I'm going to cut it in half and give half to one neighbor and half to my friend Ivy, who she lets me grow some of my Amish paste tomatoes there for the last 3 years, and then we split all the tomatoes. So I thought she would like half of this pie. So let's get started with the tasting of those 5 varieties, and then I will just quickly go over how to make this beautiful pie and give you the recipe too. I did make a short about the pie last summer, so if you don't want to watch this video and you don't want to do all the tasting of the 5 different varieties I'm going to talk about today, just go find that short. The first variety we're going to talk about is Mountain Princess. I'm going to try to just focus on the taste of this tomato, not so much how the plant grew outside and my thoughts on that, because it'll make the video way too long. But so I'm voicing over all of the taste testing because my daughter was also coming right behind me and also tasting each variety that we talk about today to give her insights, because she loves tomatoes too, and she's more picky actually than I am when it comes to tomatoes. So for Mountain Princess, you can see here I'm showing you the inside of this fruit. They were somewhat smaller fruits, but a nice size for just one person to have like a sandwich, I would say. So my thoughts from sampling this tomato, both plain and with salt and pepper, is it's bright. It has mildly tartness, traditional tomato taste, a little bit mealy though, or mushy-ish. And you can see there was a bit of a core also in each of the top of the tomatoes. And then after taking a bite and chewing and swallowing, I did kind of still have a little bit of skin left over in my mouth. A medium amount of seeds, and it does have a good amount of juiciness. For me, it's probably not going to be a keeper. And then my daughter's thoughts were lack of flavor or decreased flavor compared to other tomatoes, but it's a good tomato overall. Those were her thoughts. Probably not a keeper for us. And then we're going to move on to Moonglow. So Moonglow is beautiful, and I was hoping it was going to be like a miniature Dr. Witchy's based on the description I read over the winter when I was picking up my seeds. It was not. It's not a horrible tomato at all. It's a good tomato, just different than what I was expecting. So I would say it has more brightness than Dr. Witchy. It's still beautiful though. I can see why they called it Moonglow, because it's really bright on the outside, like a really beautiful moon, I guess is why they called it that. So I did get a little bit of the skin left over in my mouth. It was questionable bitter, the skin. Very mild tomato taste. Very, very mild. Low acid, but like I said, not a Dr. Witchy as far as taste and texture. There wasn't that much juice. There were not that many seeds. My daughter's thoughts were that it was good, but not a Dr. Witchy's, which is her favorite tomato. And moving on to the Silvery Fir, which has a very gorgeous foliage, and you'll see that here in a few minutes. I'm going to show you. So for this one, I wrote that it was a mild tomato taste, but nicely bright. It did have a lot of kind of the greenish gooey gel inside. Here I'm showing you an example of the plant that I just happened to have on my deck, which was right by the window where I was working with this tomato tasting video, and that's what it looks like. So one problem I have with these two here I'm getting ready to cut is they both had, to various degree, stem rot, like on the inside, the core. The inside core had some rot in it. So I'll show you that here in a second. So I'm not sure what to think about that. I mean, these were picked, you know, after blushing, but not fully ripe on the actual plant before I brought them in. So I'm not quite sure why that was happening. This did have a little bit of a mealy texture. Let's see what my daughter wrote. She wrote, watery skin, tougher. And I guess she meant compared to other tomatoes we had been sampling. So this is probably not going to be a repeat tomato for me, just because of, you know, there's so many tomatoes out there. It didn't seem to be like something that I need to grow compared to other, like I could grow Ace 55 instead. So this is going to be a no. Here you can see I am slicing this tomato, and I'm going to show you some of that green gooiness that's on the inside, the gel that it kind of like supports and keeps those seeds nice and safe. Some tomatoes have more than others. Some have less. I prefer probably the ones that have less. But you can see also there's some white kind of like in the structure of the tomato here. And I wonder if that rot was going to kind of travel on down into the tomato as well. So this, unfortunately, didn't work out too well, but we were able to sample, and I have eaten several of these before today. And my thoughts are all kind of consistent with this variety, so it's going to be a no. But just because a tomato doesn't work for me in my zone doesn't mean that it won't work for you in your growing location. Geranium Kiss, I have grown 2021, 2022, and then I skipped a year and I grew 2020, now 24. So obviously I must really like this tomato, and it's true. But I'm just going to focus on this year and tasting right now what I thought. And this is what I wrote down. Tasty, little mild tomato taste that is tarty, balanced and rich tomato flavor. It has a cute pointy end. It's juicy with gel and seeds. So I really like this tomato, and I do recommend this tomato. It grows really well for me here in the South, and it's very dependable, also very productive, and it's a dwarf, so you can fit it into so many different locations. So my daughter said she prefers big tomatoes. This was too juicy and not flavorful. The final tomato we're going to talk about is Black Krim. So I need to add to the first part of this review that I initially tried some of the Black Krim fruits probably, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. Those were from my full sun plants. And I'm getting a different flavor profile from my one that is growing in very low part sun. It is doing phenomenal there. I've had so many fruits off of it. You can see some of the ones here. Look at this big one. That came from growing in low part sun. So the ones I've been getting off of my plant in the backyard are good. Like, I'm changing my whole thoughts on Black Krim because initially I thought it was too mealy, lack of flavor. But for the ones that are growing in the backyard and super happy, this is what I'm telling you I thought today when I did this taste testing. So I wrote better than before, mildly smoky, it's juicy, it's not mealy like the full sun Black Krims that I had grown in the front yard. So I've got meaty with gel and seeds. The skin maybe a little bit better that was left in my mouth, but not too bad. And I wrote it's growing on me. So this is just something to kind of keep in mind. Different locations, different soil, different temperatures, all of that can affect. You can hear my little Roomba going off in the background, sorry. Can affect that taste. So you got to give plants a fair shot. You know, you got to grow them in different spots, try them, see what you think. Everything is subjective. But my daughter wrote she liked it. It was squishy. I don't know why she wrote that, but that she would definitely eat it again. And look at how beautiful. So that's going to do it for this taste testing, guys. Would you please share your thoughts below? I'm thinking I might actually grow Black Krim again now. It's still not as flavorful as, say, the Paul Robeson. A lot of the tomatoes from today's tasting went into making this pie. You see I started with the bacon, but I don't use bacon in it because my daughter won't eat bacon. And I just go through all the steps right here. I'm going to put the recipe and the link to the short in the description. And that way I don't have to bore y'all with like 5 minutes of telling you how to make this. But it's super simple. Simple ingredients. I did use a pre-purchased frozen pie crust, but you can make your own. I was just in a hurry, so I just bought them. It made things so quick, so easy. And I got to use up so many tomatoes. And did you see the colors? It was just a rainbow of colors. It looks so pretty. Pie looks gorgeous when it comes out. People will love this. So you got to make it, guys. talk to you soon. Hope you're having a great gardening week. Bye.